Welcome back to War Stories here on the Full Instance channel. My name is Jericho, and today I am joined by CyannSentry to, I guess, sort of talk about and review the newest Netflix original series, or at least that we've seen, because they're coming out with a ton nowadays. But either way, a series of unfortunate events. So let's start. What is your background with the property?
Well, I started reading them in elementary school, and I was always so excited for. You remember those days when they would bring the whole Scholastic Fair to the school?
Yes.
Those were
fair.
my favorite days, and I would always look for the next movies at those. And they were very informative in humor and my grasp of literary concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think definitely
So, for the uninitiated, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events is a children's book series. I would say young adult book series more than children. I would say it's aiming for maybe 8 to 14, 10 maybe. And it's about these children, the Baudelaire orphans, who are indeed orphaned in the events of the first book. And it's about this guy called Count Olaf, who is trying to steal the fortune that they're meant to inherit from their family's estate once the eldest child, Violet, comes of age. Is that a pretty good summation?
Yeah.
So I never really read them. I was aware of them, and I think I might have read one or two, but I wasn't. It was a little bit. I mean, I'm only like a little over a year older than you, but I still feels like a little past my time. I think I was more into Harry Potter at the time of this.
I had not gotten to Harry Potter yet at that time.
Because I first read Harry Potter in 3rd grade, and I think the 3rd book had just come out at around that time, but that was when I first started. So I wasn't, I just wasn't, and I was more into Redwall as well.
So yeah, I was into that at the same time, but they came out at different times, and they got them at different times, so
Right.
it wasn't like an either or.
So, but I was still, was aware of it, still thought it was neat. So they came out with the movie with Jim Carrey in, I guess, the lead as Count Olaf. You happen to know what year that was? It was probably probably 03 or so. You can look it up. But I went and saw that. I think I saw it in theaters with Holy Diver and my sister. And we liked it. We thought it was pretty good. A lot of people, especially, I guess you can speak more to this, Cyan, I would say the more you liked the books, the less you liked the movie. Seems to be a kind of a running.
Yeah, I mean, it did a lot of things right. Like, the casting was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it also got a lot of things wrong. And the main thing that it got wrong was squishing 3 books into one little movie.
3 books into a less than 2-hour movie was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And that is one of the strengths of the Netflix show. So that's why we're here. Netflix. More
2004.
2004. Okay, I guess that's not bad. Netflix a few years ago got the rights to remake the movie. Well, I'm not really remake the movie, but the right to the property to reboot it, I guess is the better word, as a Netflix original series. And what they're doing is each book is getting 2 episodes of the show that are about 40 to 50 minutes. So way more room to breathe, because each book is covered in almost the same amount of time that the entire original movie was.
They pretty much get to talk about everything in the book, because the books,
We haven't seen it back and we are running out of time.
So in this format, they're really able to do half the book in one part, and the next half in the other part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more cohesive.
So season 1 covers the first 4 books in the series in its 8-episode run, which is, if you're familiar with the movie covered the first 3. So it'll be familiar ground, and then one new book makes up the last 2 episodes of the season. So what did you think?
I was really impressed. I thought it was really, it got the humor, it understood that, and it looked perfect. Like it's that kind of surreal, semi-cartoony look, kind of like we said while we were watching it, it looked kind of like
Yeah, very dreamy, like Tim Burton aesthetic.
picturesque look.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, of course, it being the subject matter it is, picturesque in this context is kind of grotesque. And it looks exactly how it looked at my time. And they, like I said, they get the humor because the movie got a little bit of that,
Enemy units nearby.
but since a huge part of what made the books so great was Lemony Snicket's narration, the movie didn't have enough of the narrator. It did have a little, but he wasn't nearly as great. And this, he's there all the time. His background, random throwaway character, you know, he'll be there all the time. And I love it.
Yeah, that's far and away my favorite thing about the Netflix series is they have I can't remember. He's the voice actor that plays Joe. Is present as the narrator. The characters aren't aware of him. Patrick Warburton, that's right. So like he walks, like he'll walk through a scene, whatever, like for comedic effect or just for effect. But it's so good because like just the way the book is narrated, like it'll play tricks, like it'll like write out a paragraph about how everything just worked out and it's wonderful, and then it'll be like, okay, I have to be honest with you, that's not really what happened. And that's not anything they could really do a lot with in the movie, but in the Netflix show, they're able to have him there narrating the story, doing the same stuff.
Right.
And that's what really makes the books interesting and worthwhile. Like, I mean, they're well written and they're fun. Like, you know, nothing against them, but that's the best thing about the books, and the fact that they were able to recreate it like this.
And in the books, they have this running joke. You know, kind of left with standoffish, a word here meaning vile and food or whatever, and that happens all the time in the book, and they've done that a lot in the show, and I think they might have done it once or twice in the movie, so that's one of my favorite running jokes.
Yeah, and
it's in there.
It was like as an Easter egg in the movie, like it wasn't a big line, like when it was like, by that, like that's means this or something, like it was not.
Yeah, it wasn't the running joke that it should have been.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with the look and the feel being really good. I am really happy with it. I really enjoy it a lot. The other thing that I think is just like a masterstroke and really cool is the theme song.
Oh, the theme song.
Like it's creative and clever and matches the feel and tone of the book and the rest of the Netflix series. And it's sung by Neil Patrick Harris in character as Count Olaf, and we'll kind of get back to him when we talk about, you know, the casting in general. But they changed the lyrics to match what's going on in each episode, which I think is really cool. I can't think of any other show I've known that has done that.
The only thing that comes close is the Netflix released season of Arrested Development will change like
the instrumentation.
The instruments,
yeah, to match the character. That's true. That is pretty similar. But this is like specifically talking about what's going on, like in the second one, like they talk about like.
They'll talk about either Count Olaf or Aunt Josephine or, you know, whoever.
Uncle Monty, yes. Yeah. So it's not like they just wrote a bunch of theme songs and then just put it where, like, it's like a synopsis.
Right.
Well, I mean, not a synopsis, but you know what I mean. Like, it talks.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's kind of like
Take those
the
stormtroopers down before they do the same to you.
Yes, very much so. Count Olaf would love that description of his wonderful singing to start it off.
So Neil Patrick Harris, I know you disagree with me on this, but I think he's perfect as Count Olaf.
I really, really, really like him, and I don't know. Yes, I feel like Jim Carrey was a stronger Count Olaf, and the biggest reason for that, to me, is that Neil Patrick Harris is not as menacing. Jim Carrey came across as really frightening and threatening, and Neil Patrick Harris is way more often goofy or like rendered weak by what's going on around him. Like, he does not appear as a scary threat to these kids, whereas Jim Carrey did, in my opinion. But such a huge part of Count Olaf. So at the beginning, Count Olaf is just Count Olaf. He's the one that like he manages to to finagle his way into adopting the kids, and he has control of them. But after that, he's revealed as a villain, so he has to keep contriving ways to get control of them again. So the main way in which he does that is by being a, like, quote-unquote master of disguise, even though he really is not. It's very obvious, and the audience and the kids can see through it right away. But it's another way where the show gets a lot of its humor is the adults being so blind and just so unwilling to trust the word of children that they believe like all this ridiculous stuff that a guy named Captain Sham is in fact a sham. And I think Neil Patrick Harris's Count Olaf gets that part way better.
Yeah.
Way better
Yeah.
than Jim Carrey.
Yeah, his costumes are fantastic.
Yeah, it's really well done, and like, I wonder how Jim Carrey would have done with some of the material in the later books, even in just the penultimate episodes of this. I don't want to really get into spoilers in this at all, because I totally think people should watch it. Everybody has Netflix, like there's no reason. But I wonder how Jim Carrey would have done with that. But I think that it was a role that was very well suited to Jim Carrey, and I like it. It reminds me positively of the Christmas Carol, where he plays basically everybody.
Yeah.
Like that, it sort of had that feel to me, and I don't know, I really like Jim Carrey, but I really like Neil Patrick Harris too.
Yeah, Jim Carrey was great as that version of Olaf. Of course, both are still very much larger than life. They're completely obvious to kids and to the audience, like you said, but I feel like MPH kind of went for a more, I don't want to be realistic, but
More grounded.
yeah, reminiscent of a real life. Like
Yeah.
He felt more scary to me as a viewer, without being like overtly dangerous. Like Jim Carrey was just kind of maniacal,
Yeah.
and MPH is more calculated. So I prefer MPH, but I will fully admit that I am biased because I absolutely love everything that he does. That makes me huge fangirl for him.
I actually was about to say, I wonder if that's part of like what my problem. I mean, problem is way more harsh. Like it's like 6 and 1 really, because their choices are very different. But I think a lot of the choices he makes with his Count Olaf character remind me of Dr. Horrible.
Yeah.
And Dr. Horrible is my friend, and I love him. So therefore, he doesn't really want to be evil.
Yeah.
He just
wants to take over the role.
yeah, just to make it better. Like, and I get that vibe from him.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's not gonna hurt those
I
kids
get
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's hardly the fault of the show. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I prefer MPH, not to take anything away from Jim Carrey, and I think he was right.
Yes, definitely. Okay, and for the kids, I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Materials are falling behind.
Like, I don't know if I would really say that either set is particularly better or worse than the other set. They're like all fine.
I like these kids better.
Yeah, if I had to, like, gun to my head, I would agree.
With Sunny, her whole thing is like she fights things and like things like babies should not be able to fight.
Like rocks.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about, like, food that they shouldn't have yet.
Like she can shape rocks and she can in Austere Academy she's gonna bend little pieces of metal into paper clips with her teeth, things like that. And that pretty much necessitates CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that the movie came out, that baby CGI was flat out terrifying.
Yeah, definitely, like, total, like, uncanny valley. Like, you did not believe it. It wasn't supposed to be, like, for laughs or to be goofy. Like, we were supposed to see that as a real baby.
Yeah, and it was really different. So this CGI, it's more advanced, and just the whole look of how this one is, the colors and just the graphics of it.
Of the baby, of Sunny, you mean?
Of the whole show, the baby fits into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't fit out something. So I prefer that. Of course, she's not gonna act, but I prefer that part of her. And they chose to voice her using Tara Strong.
Mm-hmm. Who, if you don't know, is a very prolific voice actress. She did Tommy Pickles on the Rugrats. She's in Harley Quinn and a bunch of stuff. She's I can't remember, a major pony on My Little Pony.
I don't know.
Rainbow Bright. That's not Mystic. It's something with an M. I don't know. She's done a ton of stuff. She was, I think 2 out of 3 Powerpuff Girls. Twilight Sparkle. Does not have an M. But yeah, she's done tons of stuff, and she does a really good job because Sunny, like, even though she just talks in baby talk, her brother and sister understand her perfectly. So at times the script necessitates her to make a sound, like a certain sound, you know. So I think a lot of the times they let the baby do the baby sounds, but when they need something specific from her to get across whatever character beat they're trying to sell, they use her, and I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I like that choice.
It was a little off-putting at first. I didn't expect that voice to come out of a baby.
Yeah, and it's obviously not a baby voice. Like, you can tell it's a person doing it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, once you're like, oh, that's how it is. Okay. Then you get into it. It works. But Klaus, I slightly prefer in the show, and Violet, I vastly prefer in the show.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love how those two talk to each other. Like, when they're talking to everybody else, they're really they try to be more animated. They try to be more normal.
Yeah, they try not to be
normal
weird.
Kids. But when they're just talking to each other and being their natural selves, they're very, like, kind of, I guess, Vulcan. They're very, analytical, and they use much more advanced vocabulary when they're talking to each other. They say things that are way smarter than they ever do to the adults, because they know that they'll understand each other.
Right, yeah, they know the other one can keep up.
Yeah.
Not to be like, I don't know, but it reminds me of how Daniel and I talk to each other, or Holy Diver and I should say.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different, or anybody would talk to their sibling, because you know that they're going to get it.
Right. Like, my sister and I would pretty much fully communicate in a series of movie and TV show quotes, and everyone else just kind of looks at us like, what are you doing? And we get it, so it's cool to see that, because a lot of shows don't really, they'll show the connection
Your orders
of
are to shoot
siblings,
down every
but they
last
won't
one of
show
those
the
rebels.
change in how they talk to each other.
Yeah. I think I prefer Klaus in the movie, maybe, but it's really close, and it's not anything that either one particularly does right or wrong. I just think I like him a little bit better. Maybe I like you a little bit more believable.
Maybe.
But I don't know. It's very close. But we love it. As if we didn't get it across enough, we both think that the show is really, really good. Totally worth it. You already have Netflix, no reason not to. They've confirmed there's going to be 2 more seasons, and they'll just go through the rest of the series, and that'll be that. And the show has already made some interesting choices in the way it's framed some things, where it's pretty apparent that it's not afraid to take chances and do things differently
Yeah.
than the books.
I mean, it sticks to the book faithfully, but it does make a little extra stuff happen. But it all fits with what the books have at their base.
Right, and that's all just to say that, like, oh, I've read those books a million times, and this is really faithful. There's not going to be a whole lot for me to see. I would not think that at all. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, I totally recommend you do, because it's awesome.
I do have one little complaint, though.
Okay.
Josephine.
Yeah.
She's not good. She's
that's-
just not good.
That's my least favorite of the books. The worst part of the Jim Carrey movie and the worst part of the show. And this particular casting was really bad. They made her so, like, annoying and, like,
Stay sharp.
so her.
She just doesn't act very well. I
Yeah.
know she's been in other things, and I think I've never seen her in anything else. but I think she's well known, she's well liked.
We have
So
taken the
I think
lead.
she didn't
Very
take
good.
it didn't work.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It definitely was a very disappointing. And again, I don't really like the character anyway, but yeah, that was the weakest part of the show, for sure. But there are other parts of that episode that are really good. So it's not worth, like, I wouldn't say skip it or anything like that. But yeah, that's definitely a complaint. It's not perfect by any means.
I just thought of something else that I don't know if it was on
The rebels are falling behind.
or if it just happened that way, but I like it. So the Justice Strauss from the movie, who was perfect, is a character in the last section of the show. What's her name? Catherine. What is it? Remember?
Not off the top of my head.
Catherine O'Hara. Cool to see her in a villainous role. I've never seen that before.
Mhm. Yeah, it's cool that they like she was a really good part of the movie in school. They're like, okay, yay, why not have her be in this? So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, all in all, really good casting, really good art direction. It makes a lot of smart decisions of how to adapt. I would say a relatively difficult to adapt book series. It's hard to really get across the appeal and help people that don't know about it to understand it. But check it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, we have War Stories every Tuesday and Thursday, but there's content coming every single day on the CyannSentry channel. Thank you so much to CyannSentry for joining me,
Thanks for having me.
and I will see you guys next time. I don't know about you, but